Hi there, welcome to the Gardens and Graveyard channel. My name is Charisma and today we're meeting inside of the house and this is our living room and I'm going to transplant this trio of plants right behind me. They all need to be transplanted up a pot size and get restaged because they won't fit in their staging anymore. And I'm really looking forward to it to give this little corner a refresh and something new and pretty to look at. I think one more plant will end up in this collection when we're done, and the way that the plants are sitting will have to be different because they'll be in different size pots. So let's get these plants into the studio and start transplanting. This is how the little collection looks right now in a corner of our living room next to the TV and fireplace. So this is an electric fireplace, so they get dried out. And then it is directly across from a window. So they get indirect light, but they also get this light a lot. It's pretty much on 24 hours a day. They're not plant bulbs or anything, but they do seem to help in the winter time, help with these plants a little bit more. But all of them need to be transplanted. So the way that the collection looks is going to look different because they have to go up a pot size, all of them. So it'll be interesting to see what this corner looks like in like an hour. All right, so what I have found easiest to do is to get the biggest plants done first so that I can then use the bigger pots for the next size down. So for example, I can use this pot for this plant if I get this plant out of there first. So that's kind of what I want to work on. A couple of things. This container had staging. You can see some of the staging here. I removed all the moss because it was looking so crummy I couldn't even stand it. I'd rather look at the plastic than look at the moss. So it is definitely, unfinished and ready to be restaged. And I'm actually going to be putting this Monstera into this decorative container after we're done. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down on the ground. We will take care of these guys and then this one because this pot is actually quite small and we won't be using them most likely for these plants. So the other thing that I want to look at is I want this. This container is shallow and you can see the roots are coming out here, and I have a lot of stem which can actually be buried with this type of a plant. This is whatever. And so what I want to do is just basically put the plant down deep and have enough room for its roots at the same time. So we're going to put it in pretty close to the same size diameter, just a longer root system space, and I'm hoping it's not going to fit in that one. It's going to fit in this one, would fit in this one. I have more than one of these containers, so maybe we'll just do that. Get another one of these containers for this one. Okay, so that's part of the planning process, is trying to figure out which container can handle the size of the container that you're going to be placing. So as you can see, I had these in a little collection, but if I put this in here, it's gonna come up over the container. All right, let's just start moving. It's kind of like musical chairs. We're just gonna move some plants around. This one is gonna go in here. We'll just sit on the ground for a minute. And just do this. Okay, I think we're good. I'm going to be using potting soil. This is just an all-purpose potting soil along with perlite, because I find that the all-purpose potting soil doesn't have enough aeration for my houseplants because we are so moist here. I like to give my plants a lot of opportunity to drain. So we're gonna get our potting soil all ready, and then we can plant our plant. All right. I'll set this down for a second so we can see what's happening. I just mix up my soil in this container. It's easy. It's easy when I don't have too many plants on the table. If you're wondering why I'm not having all of this stuff behind the table, it's because I have all kinds of seed starting trays and cell packs and soil back here, because we are in the middle of seed starting season, which we'll be doing more videos on that soon. But things are getting a little crowded in here. Okay. Actually, maybe we should just start with this Monstera so that we can get it off the table. I just need to find a container to put it in. This soil is pretty dry, so I'm going to put a little water on it. Not a ton, but you do want some moisture in there. I might even add a little more perlite in a minute. But right now, I'm going to take this plant out. And move this out of here. Let's see if I can get another container. With this one. Okay. We're gonna go with this pot. This red pot had a living Christmas tree in it a few years ago. The tree ended up on the property after a couple of years. Oops. only problem with this, it has really big holes. So I'm actually going to put a little liner of landscape fabric in the bottom. Or, nope, I actually don't have any landscape fabric, so I'm just going to use some coffee filters. And we're just going to put them on each drain hole just to prevent the soil from all spilling out everywhere every time it gets watered and every time I put in handfuls of soil. All right, so that's what I did. Just covered up the holes, and the first few handfuls of soil we'll just put in there nice and gently and hold down the coffee filters so they stay in place. And then I'm going to put a little bit more perlite. Just mix it in there a little bit. And okay. And now let's hope I don't have to cut this container. I'm going to remove the support system, which I have little Velcro ties holding the plant onto the support system. And I know that I'm going to need it again. These support, they were a little wonky, so I'm going to try to make them look a little less wonky. I don't know. Guess we're going to wait and see what she needs. In the new pot with the new growth that she has on her. Right there. The bigger concern is all that weight that could break when it doesn't have support. So this one is okay. What I'm gonna do is kind of hold it all together, hopefully. And pull it out. So you can see her root system has been circling. So I'm just gonna gently pull it apart a little bit so it doesn't continue to circle, but don't really want to break any of it. It's a whole lot trying to come up the top because the drainage holes in that container were not great. Right, so I'm just gonna now that I did that, there's too much soil in here. Uh-oh. Ah. What I can do here. Okay, that is a lot better. I do want to have like an inch lip from the top of the container to the soil line because I want there to be room to put water in without it spilling over the edges. So I think we're good on soil. I'm just going to set this to the side. And then to decide on a couple of these arms, I feel like I can put this off to the side for a second. This is the one that it's actually quite heavy. It's been resting on my arm this whole time and it's like it's quite heavy. All right, I'm gonna put this support. I think it needs to be bigger now, so put it right in here. It's actually on the other side of its root ball, so it's not touching the root ball at all. I don't really want it to be taller than the plant, so I'm gonna bring the plant, round it a little bit, where it's just sort of naturally curving. And then I'm just gonna bend this one down. Maybe not that low. We want to give it room to grow. So we're just gonna bend it a little bit like that. And then I'm gonna put a Velcro tie right here where it's already kind of up against this guy. And then I can maybe put one right here to encourage it to go up. And so these things are pretty loose. They're not constricting the growth in any way. So then we're gonna, that feels pretty strong right there. We're gonna work with this one. I wanna unbend it so it's not so wonky and crazy. I'm gonna put it on the other side. Let's pull this up. See how this kind of wants to go. Let's see. Okay. It's gonna go in the back, I think. Here. This can slip behind it here like this, and we can put put a tie right here. And then we have this one, which slip in between here and just put a tie right here, maybe down here. And then I don't want that to be sticking up so far. So we're just gonna slip it down in here and call it good. Okay, so how does that look? So I can only see it from one side. It looks okay. Okay, that looks a little bit more decorative, I guess. I don't know. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, better than it was. And then the other thing, and it's always in this corner, so you know, that could be the back side, or I can start turning it so that the leaves will start turning themselves that way. The other thing with the monsteras, this is a monstera, Delosia, and they get these aerial roots, which they need to draw moisture from the air. But they don't necessarily need this many. And so I'm going to keep the ones that are kind of short and that are just growing. And I might remove a couple of these here. So like maybe these ones that are a little bit older. And this one that is a little bit weak up in here. And like this one is super, super long. Maybe I don't need that one. Oh, is that what dropped earlier? Is my pruners? Okay. So, we're going to take this one off because it's weak. And this one as well. Oops. It's really up in here. This one. Okay. And then this one that's super, super long. And maybe this one just because it's right where we need to tie it. So that way there's still a couple that she can use, and these are new. Mostly this plant doesn't need any cleanup because it's in my living room and I'm constantly like shining her leaves and everything like that. So let's go ahead and get this one staged and get it off the table, I think. Definitely would have been smarter for me to do this before I put the plant in here, but I think we'll be okay. Great. So there's already a drip tray underneath there. There's already staging. It's pretty strong. Just give it a little dusting here. Okay. Lovely. And then we'll come in with some sheet moss. And what I want to do with this is it comes in these like chunks like this. I'm just going to kind of roll it right here like that. Just like that, and we'll just do that all the way around until all the plastic is covered and you don't see the rim of the container. Now some people will cover over the lip of the container so you don't see any of the container. I don't love to do that because the moss ends up getting yucky even faster because it leaches up the water. But what I am going to do, because this is a red container, is I'm going to put some decorative rock on top. Just to cover up that red container and the soil, to help. It also helps it keep a little bit more moist that way. More. There we go. All right, I'm pretty happy with that, and we will water these all in when we go place them. Because this is going to be heavy enough without the water as well. Okay. So this one also has big holes on the bottom, so I want to put something down there so it doesn't, all that soil doesn't just fall out of it. Okay, I have a little bit of I have just like this super thin cloth that will drain just fine if I set it down in there. Might not even need that much. Let's cut it. I'm just gonna make it fit a little bit better. You can use anything, and cheesecloth, obviously coffee filters, burlap, landscape fabric, something that won't break down super fast. The coffee filters kind of break down fast. But by the time the coffee filters break down, the soil has compacted enough that it's not sloughing off so badly. Alright, so then I'm just gonna put that down on the bottom there so that the soil doesn't all spill out. Okay. And then we've got soil left in here. We'll carefully put it in there so it doesn't, the cloth doesn't expose those holes. A little bit of perlite. That's pretty close to how much I need in there. I didn't water this on the last watering, so it's really dry. Okay, not very rooted in, but healthy roots. Just needs to be buried a little bit. So just do a little mixture. A little bit moist. This is a way that you can propagate eggs too, is if I had a really tall stem like that and I cut it, I can just stick it right into the soil and it will grow roots. That's what this one is. It's a cutting off of another plant. But it just got really tall and leggy, so I just needed to bury that stem so that all the roots can come off of the stem and get a stronger root system. And then the plant looks nice and stocky in the container opposed to, you know, a funny looking tree. Okay, then we want to stage this guy, which I have another one of these right here. I need a bigger container or drip tray than this. Should be fine. All right. And I just have these, this is paper bags from a grocery store. And I just slip them around. You can use any kind of packing material. You'll have tons of free packing material from Amazon these days. I do this so that the plant doesn't get rocked around and tip over and look funny. So now that's all stable. Now I'll do another ring so that we can lay the moss on top. Use a lot less moss if, you know, it doesn't have to go very deep. A bit more. And you could just like use these bubble wrap thingies too. Works just fine. Do the same thing, top this off with some rock. Okay, very nice. Okay, now we can do the smaller ones, and those are so much easier. All right, so this guy, this is a Dracaena. And it's just time. You can see her roots are coming out. She's ready to get potted up. I'm just gonna remove anything that doesn't look super great. Mostly, she's looking good. I think I will go ahead and use this container that the Monstera was in. So that's a nice size up. And then we can just put it in that basket like we had it. Same deal. Soil, perlite, mix, a little water. All right, so take this out. And I'm going to use this as a little mold. Just do a little higher. So see, I just set it in like this. And then I can put the soil in around it without messing with the plant too much. These Dracaenas seem to be really finicky. They don't like too much water. They don't like to be dried out too much. They don't like to be moved around very often. So I try not to disturb their roots very much or mess with their leaves very much. I do give it a quick wipe down from time to time, but I try not to mess with her very much. Okay. So then I take that out and I have a nice mold for the plant to just go right in. It's not root bound, so I'm not going to mess with that too much. There's a little bit of a crust on top, which can happen with fertilizer from time to time. So there you go. And just get the root ball settled in there. Fresh soil on top. And it automatically has this drip tray down on the bottom, which I could take out, but it's fine. And then I won't have to do any staging because this should just fit right snug inside of there. It's a little tall. Leave it like that. It's not very good scale. This one's gonna have to be something else. Too big. This one will work. I mean, once it's taller, that'll be nice. I think I'm just gonna leave it like this, and hopefully once it's a little bit taller, it'll look more to scale. All right, so there's that one. Cute. This one, and this one was hanging up in the ceiling, not getting the light that it wants. So I'm going to give it some fresh soil. There's a lot of dead in it, so I'm going to clean it up. And I'm actually going to put it in there where that Dracaena was. I think it'll be happier in that lighting, I hope. Okay, so this should just fit right in here because it's the one that came out of there, so all good. I'll just reuse this. I'm going to water with fertilizer. I don't typically water with fertilizer in the wintertime, but when I do transplants, I like to give them a little shot of extra food. So I'm going to do that with all of these once I get them placed. I decided to go ahead and add a 5th plant using this basket, and this was a prayer plant that was already potted up and looking fine, so I just popped it in that basket, and now I have a collection of 5 plants there rather than 4. Originally we started with a trio, and I don't love having even numbers in the garden or in the house. So now we have a nice big collection of plants and plenty of room for that monstera to grow bigger. Fun fact about monsteras is they start splitting their leaf like this on the top in order for the lower leaves to get light. So you'll see they start splitting so that the lower canopy can start having leaves. So they're very intuitive like that, so I have no problem putting these lower light plants below it, because I know that the Monstera will still provide some light for those as they grow up. My only concern is this Dracaena and this particular leaf, just because she's so finicky about being touched. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm going to go ahead and water them all in with some fertilizer water. All right, well, we're going to end where we began, in front of this collection of plants. They're just newly staged, a couple of extras popped in there, and they've got lots of room to grow in their roots and in their space. So I'm happy that I got that done, and I'm sure that they are as well. This is where I sit, and this is my view. So this is... it's exciting for me because we'll get to look at it every day. And now I just need to find a plant for the hanger that I moved this fern out of because it was not happy. But I've had a Triscanthia there before that did really, really well. So I think when we transplant our Triscanthia, we can move one out here, which will come in a video here soon. It is January, it's winter time. We are playing with houseplants. So I will bring you along on the journey, and I hope that you're celebrating your life, that you are enjoying your winter, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.